The other definitions we'll do.
The punching one?
Yeah. Do you have any things that's not clear? Do you have anything that's not clear?
Lots of stuff that's unclear.
That question, you know what it's meant for. It means, do you have anything that you want clarified?
Know enough to just keep debating.
Yeah, that's what's important.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah? Okay. Ornella? Where's Ornella?
She's not feeling so well.
Maybe she will.
Okay. You?
I have, I just need to practice.
Yeah. The pension one is a little more interesting.
We were talking about it practicing for the group debate.
You're sitting, no? You're sitting? And CJ? CJ's agreed.
I didn't ask him.
Are you sure he's sitting?
Yeah.
Okay, he is. Okay. He told you.
Okay.
Okay. So he knows what he's doing?
I just told him final group debate. But he's coming tomorrow, so he's not yet coming on Sunday.
Okay.
So we can talk a little bit tomorrow.
Is CJ coming tomorrow? Do you have an extra Dudra text? The Asara one?
Extra one.
Yeah. Can you buy one in Sara?
They usually just, you go to Asturganova and I think they have spare ones there.
Can you see if CJ can get one?
Okay.
Yeah? Thank you.
Did you see yesterday or the day before that the senior student answers all and then the other one just sits there?
For the first debate.
For the first debate, but the Tariq debate said you also.
The Tariq and Dudra you answer together.
Okay, good.
Your Pramana one, of course, he doesn't answer.
No,
I mean, he can answer if it's substantial causes and cooperative conditions, stuff like that.
but the other ones he also answers.
Yeah, you both have to answer. In fact, Tariq, he takes the majority of the responsibility and you help him. And then Dudra, you share it. Have you picked what you're going to do from?
Pretty much.
You have? You don't really need to tell him where to prepare up till. I mean, generally you give them, it's going to be from here to here. So it's beginning from the beginning of Dudra to contradictory, to related, till where?
To related.
Yeah, till related. So from the beginning of Dudra till related. That's where they've reached in class. Okay? Then you don't go around looking for the definitions of extensive cause and effect and stuff like that. That's just for that. Just for that. And Tariq? The debate that you're preparing, you just have to tell him till where?
Yeah, we did tell him.
Okay, you did? Okay, fine. So you know?
Yeah. Can we talk about the difference between the pension definition?
Yeah, we just have to do that. What's the pension one?
For related? It is different from that and by the power of counteracting. That it is counteracted.
So there's two examples that Penchant Rinpoche gives. I think one is more relevant than the other. So you can do it like that. Do you know there's this thing that the Buddhists go on about, which is this third thing, where if it's matter, it has to be made up of those 8. You've done that?
Of those 8.
Yeah, like the 4 elements and the 4 sources. If it is a collection generality, right? Do you remember collection generality? That which is, what's the definition of collection? Anyways, gross matter has to be made up of 8 things minimum. Earth, fire, water, air, form source, taste source, smell source, touch source, tactile object source.
All gross matter.
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't heard that.
This is like a Buddhist phenomenon. It's like a Buddhist phenomenology thing, right? This is what they say.
So each matter has to have all 8.
All 8. It doesn't have to have sound, but the other 8 it has to have.
Form, smell, taste, tactile. Okay.
4 elements and 4
Sources.
sources. That's why you were doing that nice debate. It has water because remember you were doing seed has water. That one. Okay. I thought that's why I thought you knew this. But okay, maybe not.
No, but I heard someone say it, so I.
Okay. So the thing is, if it is matter, it has the definition of gross matter is a collection of the 8 particles.
And these are the 8.
These are the 8.
Okay.
So the water particle, fire particle, air particle, earth particle, and then the particle of form source, taste source, smell source, touch source. not sound. You take sound out.
I don't like that.
You don't like that you take sound out? Because you're a musician, of course you don't like that.
Well, you could put it that way.
Yeah, but it's curious. Why does it take sound?
Because things do not have to have sound.
I think everything has a frequency.
I don't know.
Okay.
I guess sound is object of ear consciousness. So if it has, I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. But just for the sake of debate, like why this is helpful is because if you have like, you'll do this in Tariq at some point. When you do, when you talk about like candy, right? Like if you have candy in your mouth, there'll be the form source of that candy and then there's taste source. And then there's touch source and there's smell source, and those always have to be there. You can't have candy or chewing gum without form source. Similarly, you can't have chewing gum without taste source. Those always have to be present in everything that is matter, gross matter. Okay?
Is this still Sartantrika?
Everyone, across the board. Yeah? Minimum. It doesn't mean it can't have sound source. It can have it, but it's not a necessity. This is like the bare minimum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
No, never mind.
Yeah? Okay. So, what this therefore means is, if there is no, so why I'm saying this to you is because this. Take the, so the answer to this, okay? Take the smell source of, I don't know, can we use cinnamon? Take the smell source of a cinnamon stick and the taste source of a cinnamon stick. Or the smell of a cinnamon stick and the taste of of one cinnamon stick. It follows they are related.
Except.
Okay. It follows they are not related
Why?
because they don't fulfill the definition of being related.
He doesn't understand.
It follows they don't fulfill. Ornella, we're doing the definition of. Are you okay? Okay. You want to come here? You want to come here? Do it. Just do it. So this is the pension. Ornella, this is pension Rinpoche's definition, the other one, okay? You know the power of counteracting? Just that one. So you have both because it has an additional meaning that's helpful. Okay? So the smell of a cinnamon stick, take the smell of a cinnamon stick, it follows it is different from the taste of a cinnamon stick.
Except.
It follows if the smell didn't exist, the taste wouldn't exist. The smell of cinnamon stick didn't exist, the taste of cinnamon sticks would not exist. So it kind of makes sense, right? But now do this. Take the smell of a cinnamon stick and the taste of a cinnamon stick. It follows they're not related.
Why?
Because they're not related as same essence nor causally related.
That's true.
That's the problem. See? That's one potential problem. This is how Panchen Rinpoche sees this as a problem. Then there's another trickier debate.
Why are they not related as the essence of cinnamon stick?
No, because if they are related as with each other, they have to be either substantially one with each other or substantially different from each other. If they're substantially one with each other, then it doesn't work because they have different substantial causes. If they are substantially different from each other, then they will be causally related. Right? Because there's only two relations. Yes?
Couldn't different parts of the same whole be different from each other and not causally related?
Just stick with the definition strictly. Take these two, it follows they are related.
Exactly.
It follows they fulfill one of the they are either causally related or related as same essence.
Exactly.
Which one?
Same essence.
Take the smell of cinnamon and the taste of cinnamon. It follows they are substantially one. because they are related as same essence.
So then,
So what this is, the term that is given to this is, they have the relation of belonging to one whole, but they're not related with each other. So you'll see later, it says Tsokpachi la rale ki dewa. Okay, just leave that aside right now. Why we're saying this is because now if you look at Penchen's definition, now it'll make, the additional flavor will come in. What do you both want? What is it?
During COVID, a lot of people lost their sense of smell,
Yeah,
and so they couldn't taste what they were eating.
okay.
Smell and taste are,
Substantially one.
yeah.
Yeah?
And secondly, what is the substantial cause of smell of the cinnamon stick?
This,
Can't be the previous line of the cinnamon stick.
no, so it's very simple what the substantial cause of the smell. Have you ever smelt it? What's that tree? It's the perfect example, gosh. Have you ever smelt a mango tree? Have you ever gone and broken a mango leaf, the leaf of a mango tree? Okay, next time you can do it here. Or the branches, they smell like mango. The whole thing smells like mango. So the substantial cause of the cinnamon stick will be, the smell of the cinnamon stick will be the smell of wherever it came from. That's what it is.
So then, the seed would also have smell?
The smell of the seed will be the smell of the cinnamon stick.
But what if the seed doesn't have smell?
Whatever that smell is will transform into the smell of the cinnamon stick. And then in certain climates it'll have a different, how can it not have a smell?
So an orange has a citrusy smell, but I don't know that the orange
So we
seed
don't know
has a
whether, but then
citrusy
when certain things combine, therefore the cooperative conditions do something to the smell of that seed that's in that seed, then that smell transforms. So but that is quite, it's even verifiable, this thing. Because many fruit and many even, not just fruit but many substances, the smell that you get later is something that you can already tell in the beginning. So like if you put sesame, you can tell from the smell of the seed that then that kind of carries over a similar kind of smell. Similarly with a mango seed, if you smell a mango seed, it's really obvious. So in those cases, then there's other cases where the smell is not there. That's fine. But it doesn't mean that the substantial cause is going to be something else, right? What's,
the potential that's carried in the smell.
but there is smell. Why do you have to say the potential? One sec. So if it is the smell of, really, you think so? One sec. That's really weird.
Sometimes it's not evident, the smell in a seed.
But it'll have some smell? Does it have some smell?
not always.
I'm going to start smelling seeds. Wake up and smell
I mean,
I smell things.
why
About
is
it.
not everything has sound, but everything has smell?
Because you can smell it. Go around stuff, sniff stuff. You can smell stuff. Anyways, I'm not defending the Buddhist phenomenology. I'm just telling you what to debate. Don't ask me these questions.
But what about taste and smell?
Taste and smell are substantially one.
When you notice as a smell, you can't taste your food.
One sec. If you change the smell of something, do you also have to change the taste of that thing?
It seems like the answer should be no, but it would be yes.
Is it yes?
Yes.
If you're saying that they're substantially one, then when you change the smell of something, does you have to change the taste of that thing? And if you change the taste of something, do you have to change the smell of that thing? So when you add sugar to, like you add sugar to tea, do you change the smell of tea? Do you?
It has a sweetish smell.
The smell is sugar. What are you talking about? So just use your own and think of substantial causes. If a change in the cause doesn't lead to a change in the effect, then it's not a substantial cause of that effect. So the reason why the Buddhists at least say this is because they're all separate sources. They all have different things. This doesn't have to be the right view of the world, but they're saying there's 8 elemental particles. Those elemental particles, when they aggregate, then you get matter. Within those elemental particles, you can have sound sometimes, but it's not necessarily there. Yeah, that's kind of what they say. But when you have the other, any kind of matter, it has to have these elemental particles that aggregate. Is that okay? That's just what they're saying. In these elemental particles, there's taste particles and smell particles. They're separate. That's why they have their own substantial continuums. That's why they're not substantially one. Does it mean that they don't impact each other? If you think, you can say except, then that whole Tariq section on previous moment of taste source is the substantial cause of next moment of taste source but cooperative condition. You've done that, you remember that? Where was it?
Which verse?
No, in Tariq, which verse? Tariq.
Yeah.
Where is this? No, not in the text. You have to remember, you asked me all these questions, now you answer my questions. Good. Please check later. That's the one, yeah? Okay? So here, if form source doesn't exist, if form source of cinnamon is not there, taste source of cinnamon is not there, because if form source is not there, you can't have cinnamon, right? And if you can't have cinnamon, you can't have taste source. Now look at Penchen's definition. Take form source of cinnamon. It follows it is related to taste source of cinnamon.
Except?
It follows by the power of counteracting form source, taste source is counteracted.
Except?
So Pension says no.
Ah, he says no.
He says no. Form source of cinnamon and taste source of cinnamon are not related to each other. And that's why he adds the by the power of counteracting. That's what it is, additional. Got it? Yeah? According to Penchen's definition, according to Penchen, the definition in our text is not sufficient, because if it were the definition of related, then form source of cinnamon would end up being related to taste source of cinnamon.
And why shouldn't they be?
They're not related because if they were related, they would have to be as one entity or causally related. They're not causally related because they're simultaneous. They're not related as one entity because they're not substantially one.
Yeah, that is true.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay? That's why Penchen says, because these are the only two divisions of related, and form source of sugar or of cinnamon and taste source of cinnamon are neither of these two, they can't be related. So the definition of related has to be something that can explain away this potential debate. Got it now? Got it?
But why does that definition do that? How?
So now that's how the definition does it is, if this doesn't exist, if taste source of cinnamon doesn't exist, form source of cinnamon doesn't exist. Penchen agrees with that. But he says the non-existence of form source, when the taste source is taken away, is not something that the taste source has the ability to make happen. So when you say by the power of counteracting, it has that additional meaning that the thing that to which it is related is not merely something that for this to exist, this has to exist. But the existence of this depends on the existence of this. And to give that additional meaning, he says it has to be by the power of counteracting. Yeah? Does that make sense now? So for two things to exist, if one exists, the other has to exist. If one doesn't exist, the other doesn't exist. According to how Penchen is thinking about it, he says that's not sufficient proof to say these two things are related. For them to be related, the existence of this has to rely on the existence of this. And the proof of that is this has the ability or the power to make this not exist when it stops existing. So by the power of counteracting it, it makes something else cease to exist. So there's an added layer that he's trying to communicate through his definition. So for Penchen, say taste source of cinnamon is not related to form source of cinnamon, because by the power of counteracting form source of cinnamon, taste source is not counteracted. By the power of counteracting form source of cinnamon, cinnamon is counteracted. By the power of counteracting cinnamon, taste source is counteracted. So it's indirectly related, but it's not related to taste source. That's what he's saying.
It's indirectly related.
So it's not related. Therefore, if you want to say why does it cease to exist, the justification is not in something else. The justification is that they belong to one whole. If that didn't exist, the whole couldn't exist. If the whole couldn't exist, that one couldn't exist. Does that make sense?
Form source being the whole?
No, form source is the individual, remember? Form source of cinnamon, taste source of cinnamon are all
So
different
by
parts.
counteracting form source, you counteract taste source.
Of cinnamon.
Form source of cinnamon.
Yeah, if you counteract form source of cinnamon, you counteract cinnamon.
But if you counteract taste source of cinnamon and you don't counteract form source of cinnamon?
It ceases to exist, but not by the power of counteracting form source. That's why there's this power. Do you get that?
It's by the power of the cinnamon
Yeah.
not
Yeah, it's by the power of the cinnamon not existing that the taste source doesn't exist. It's not by the power of the form source not existing that the taste source doesn't exist.
It has to be a direct counteracting.
Okay.
It's like if you and me were related, not relative related in English, but in this way, if I was to cease to exist, you will cease to exist is not sufficient. It has to be something where I have the power to make you exist or not exist. So your existence is something that relies on me in a more strict way. According to Pension, just one existing, the other existing, one not existing, the other not existing is not sufficient proof.
Okay.
And so the example he uses is this one. Okay? This one. Which is taste source of cinnamon, form source of cinnamon. They're not related.
What about whole and parts? Are they related in the
Same
sense of
essence.
Panchayogana?
They will be, because by the power of counteracting, which way are you saying it? The whole related to the parts or the parts related to the... No. Even that way, no.
Which one not?
Neither. The whole is related to the parts are not related to the whole.
The parts are not related.
Never. This is, even for this one, with this definition, even that will make more sense.
How are the parts not related to the
Because by the power of counteracting the parts, the whole is not counteracted. The parts can still exist separately. The whole exists only when the parts come together. So the individual parts are not related to the whole. Because the whole doesn't have the power to hold the individual parts. Yeah? That's how they're thinking about it.
When you say related to whole, it means by the power of counteracting whole.
Mm. By the power of counteracting the whole, the individual parts are not counteracted. But by the power of counteracting the
Parts are related to whole.
No, they're not. By the power of counteracting the whole, the individual parts are not counteracted. If you take a bundle of sticks, the individual sticks are not related to the bundle. The
You take
bundle,
away the bundle, you take away the sticks.
you don't take away the individual sticks, you can break the bundle. You can dismantle the bundle, you still have individual sticks, no? By the power of counteracting the bundle, are the individual sticks counteracted? Are they?
Doesn't the bundle...
Have you ever played Jenga?
Yes.
Yeah, so that Jenga tower, are the individual Jenga blocks related to the Jenga tower?
If you take away the Jenga tower...
The individual blocks don't exist.
Yeah.
So you can't play another round of Jenga when it breaks.
If it's taken away...
Not taken
you
away.
cannot play
The
with it.
Jenga block, does it get counteracted when it breaks, when it falls? The Jenga tower.
Maybe it doesn't have tower form anymore. It's already not called Jenga tower.
Mark, the Jenga tower, when it falls, do you lose or not? Why are you insisting on this?
I don't understand.
When a Jenga tower collapses, is the Jenga tower counteracted? No, it's fine. When a Jenga tower collapses, is the Jenga tower counteracted?
Yes.
Is it existing at that point?
No.
Are the individual blocks existing?
Yes.
So has the non-existence of the Jenga tower led to the non-existence of the Jenga blocks?
No.
Right? So the Jenga tower is related to the Jenga blocks. The Jenga blocks are not related to the Jenga tower. Is that okay?
If you take away the Jenga blocks...
Take away doesn't mean like you take them somewhere else. You know what I mean? Like if they cease to exist. That's what it means. If the Jenga blocks cease to exist, then the Jenga tower will cease to exist. But if the Jenga tower ceases to exist, the Jenga blocks don't have to cease to exist. So even with parts and whole, like we were saying this morning, but sometimes you'll come up with other examples that are tricky. But generally, it's unidirectional, this thing.
But I thought that, for instance, my hand is...
That's why I had said sometimes it's tricky. So now try it with Pension Rinpoche's definition.
Okay.
Yeah? Try it with Pension Rinpoche's definition. Okay? I'm giving there's just this other definition that you should know that it exists, because this is one debate. Then there's another tricky debate. I don't know how helpful it is for you, but maybe we can do it. Yeah?
In my notes I've written that all Buddhist schools say that the parts depend on the whole. Is it incorrect?
I think so.
But they are not related.
I have written what I thought that you have said.
Depend on the whole,
Depend on the whole, yes.
according to all Buddhist schools.
Oh, maybe to relate, maybe I'm relating it to the whole.
No, neither.
Neither.
Only the Madhyamikas say it's
By
bi-directional. Yeah, but yeah, both ways. It goes both ways.
And all other Buddhist schools say that it is
I think they'll say it's unidirectional.
that the whole depends on the parts.
Yeah, like if you take away a forest, the individual trees can still exist. You can separate them, no?
But if you take away an individual tree, a forest can still exist.
If you
Take away the trees.
One tree, if you take a part of that forest,
Yeah,
the forest still exists.
the forest still exists. So is the forest related to that tree?
Yes. No.
No.
To that tree, no.
It's not related to the other tree? It's not related to any of the trees?
It's related to, well, why?
So it's related to the trees?
To the tree, yes.
Which trees?
All trees.
All trees. No.
So it's related to the parts, no? It's related to the parts. So it's related to its parts.
But if you take away one part, if you take any specific tree, then the forest still continues to exist.
The forest in that configuration doesn't continue to exist.
Oh, the subject was the forest, but the forest is what?
Fine, so then I'll answer that that forest doesn't exist anymore.
If you take away one tree, that forest does not exist?
Agree. That forest does a different function. That forest produces that much oxygen. That forest occupies that much space. That forest provides that much shelter. That forest performing all those functions is dependent on each individual part. Like Mark sitting there in this way is performing a lot of functions currently. If I take away one finger of Mark, Mark will stop. I mean, it's not nice, but Mark will perform less of a function. So the Mark as he exists now is related to all of his parts. Because the fact that Mark is a functional entity depends on the function of each one of his parts right now. So Mark, as he is right now, is related to all of his parts now. It follows he's not related to his parts because you can cut off his finger and Mark will still exist. That's a different debate. So take this Mark, it follows he's related to all of his parts? Yes. Take Mark, it follows he's related to his finger? Why? At that point, then I'll answer differently. Does that make sense?
So this okay. So
This shmul is related to everything that you have around, even every single thing of yours.
So it then follows that this whole is related to parts, but whole is not related to parts.
It's the same thing. No? When you say whole is related to parts, you're saying that there is a whole in a certain way. That whole, does it perform functions?
Yeah.
Yeah? All those functions, will they change if you remove the parts?
Yes.
And the fact that it can't perform those functions when the parts go away is because of what? What had the power to make those functions go away?
The parts.
Therefore, by the power of counteracting those parts, you've counteracted the functions of that whole.
But if so, then these parts of the Jenga tower are related to the Jenga tower.
Why?
Because the specific configuration, because the specific other bricks that this part, that these, okay, let's do it with, take my finger, this finger.
Yeah.
It follows that if you remove, by counteracting me, then my finger does not have cannot longer perform the functions that it can perform now.
Why?
Well, if you
Cannot
counteract
either.
me, then you have to kill me, and then my finger can no longer function.
Of course it can function. You can make it do this.
When I'm dead,
Yeah, I'll hold your finger. It's
cannot
horrible,
function
but I'll
as
hold your
Shmuel's
finger and do
finger.
this. Huh?
It cannot function as Shmuel's finger.
It cannot function as Shmuel's finger.
Yes.
Yeah. Of course it can't function as Shmuel's
function
finger.
as this Shmuel's finger. If you remove
Yeah.
this, so this finger is dependent on, is related to this Shmuel.
Why?
Because by the power of counteracting this Shmuel, this finger is counteracted.
Reason not established.
It is established because by counteracting this Shmuel, it can no longer be affected by consciousness.
No pervasion.
How can it be affected by consciousness?
No pervasion, I said. That's not what it means. No pervasion.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. No, carry on.
So, by counteracting this Shmuel, it cannot be the prevention there, because if it cannot be affected by consciousness as internal matter, it can no longer perform the functions of internal matter.
Your finger is not internal matter.
Okay, as external matter.
Please.
If Shmuel is contracted, then his finger is no longer external matter.
Reason not established. Why?
Then if Shmuel is contracted, then this is no longer in the continuum of Shmuel's in Schmol's continuum.
That's not no longer in Shmuel's
And then
continuum,
it
yeah.
cannot perform the functions of conscious movement.
No pervasion.
Shmuel's conscious movement.
No
Just
pervasion.
conscious movement.
No
I mean, very
pervasion.
basically, if you kill a person, then his body will not perform the same function as the body of a living person.
Agree.
So how there is no pervasion?
So what is your subject?
The subject is
A conscious body is related to?
a living. The parts of a living body are related to a living body.
Reason not established.
Reason established because.
Because they're substantially different. Because they're substantially one, and by the power of counteracting the living body, what was it? The living being, the living body is not counteracted.
No, but the powers are set.
Yeah, the living body is the part of the living being. That's how he went. No?
He meant the part of the body.
He meant I'll answer what he said.
But Shmuel's
It's very simple. There is an answer to this. They should also all know this. They've done this technically.
Did he know this?
We know everything. We won't tell you.
Yeah, go.
The omniscient keep silent.
It's not killing the shmul. Having killed the shmul is not the reason that your finger is not performing conscious actions. That's not the reason. It's true that if you kill shmul, that's not okay.
But it doesn't perform the function of being Shmuel's finger anymore.
I agree, but that's not because of shmul having been counteracted. That's another thing.
Oh yeah, that's kind of true.
By the power of counteracting, that's what I'm trying to tell you. It's by the power of counteracting that you have to look at. The reason it doesn't do this anymore is because it no longer has a cause that is making it do this. The cause is not you. The cause is the previous moment of the volition to do this, or the twitching of your neurons or whatever. That is what, by the power of which, it stops functioning in that way.
Okay, so
Is this pointing to the difference in the definitions?
Yeah, that's exactly by the power of counteract. It's the same thing. Like, that actually is a good debate. You can use that same debate for proving Pension's definition, I feel. Now that you've brought it up. So it's a good debate, but it makes more sense with Pension now. Which is the same thing. You remember that one? What was it? What did we do? It came in Pramana as the change in the sense powers can lead to a change in the mental consciousness, but it is not by the power of that sense power that the change in the mental consciousness came, that thing that we did yesterday. So it's not related to that sense power in that sense. By the power of counteracting, it's not counteracted. It's kind of the same thing over there. Yeah? Yeah? Done.
So then what you say is by the power of counteracting Shmuel's consciousness, that the finger.
By the power of counteracting Shmuel, no, by the power of counteracting Shmuel, no, even not that. I won't say anything. Why am I answering your questions? Yes, it's not like that. So what will happen? You tell me. Try and make sense of it. When you
Volition is in the mental.
let's not kill Shmuel for this every time. Is there any better way to say
two
this?
poles. There are two poles leaning one in another.
Yeah, we've done this debate. Tell me.
So
Yes.
if there are two poles leaning
Yes,
one another,
Yes.
let's call this mini wigwam. Okay, sorry for the
Yeah, those
two poles.
Native
mini
American
wigwam.
terms.
So by the power of eliminating the mini wigwam, the poles are these poles are counteracted.
Wait, what's the mini wig? What?
The combination of
Like a teepee.
Like a TP. Okay. By the power of counteracting the TP?
by the power of counteracting the TP, these individual poles are counteracted
Why?
because they no longer perform exactly the same function.
No pervasion.
But
If they no longer perform that function, it's not by the power of counteracting the TP that they are counteracted.
so
That makes a lot more sense. I don't know. Does this make sense with your indispensable cause also? I think it might.
so by the power of what are these poles are counteracted?
I mean, when you went in,
Laws of physics.
when you broke down the TP, I don't know. You probably hit the poles, right?
Yeah.
So because you hit the poles, it's counteracted. How else are the like? I'm assuming you've broken. How did you counteract the TP?
Like this.
They're like standing like
So by the power of counteracting what? Did the poles get counteracted? By the power of counteracting them being in touch with each other, they get counteracted. Their function gets counteracted. It's not by the power of the TP.
So then the TP would not be related to the.
The TP is related to the poles because when you remove the poles, then the TP. When you remove the parts, then the TP ceases to
No, it's
exist.
by the power of your separation.
That is the power of counteracting the parts. How else do you counteract the parts?
Why in one case it is by the power of separating the TPs?
No, there's one TP.
Oh yeah, by the power of separating the poles.
That is counteracting the parts. How else do you counteract the parts?
I think, are you thinking of like violently destroying the car?
Not necessarily.
No, because you said.
Just moving
you
them.
take one-
Just moving them.
Because you said if you cut one burn them, the forest
burn is-
still
yeah,
is
if you-
counteracted.
If
It's
you burn
separated.
them,
I mean, if you just does not function the same way.
It doesn't.
So when you counteract the TP, how is it the same? Is it counteracting the
What?
TP? If we counteract the TP, then the whole will fall out, right? The
Yes.
whole concept of
Yes.
TP will fall out. So it is counteracted.
But counteracting the TP is done by counteracting one of the parts. How else do you counteract a
So
TP?
when you do the
How do you counteract a TP without working on the parts? Honestly.
you very carefully you
What? What do you do?
You wait for a meteor to fall.
It's going to fall on the parts, right? It's the same thing.
So if you counteract the whole, then you're counteracting the parts.
If you counteract the whole, you're counteracting the parts. Why?
If you counteract the parts, then you
It's the parts that counteract the whole. How can you counteract a whole and then the parts get counteracted? Counteracting the whole is counteracting the parts. What other way is there to counteract the whole?
counteract the parts, you're counteracting the whole.
Yeah, that's why it's related in one way. Is it? Does that make sense? I don't know.
Done that with the pizza crust.
So
I
if
mean,
you counteract
different, the
once,
debate we always had is like the one that like if you remove a car part, like if you counteract a car, if you remove a car part from a car, is it a car part?
So that's another debate. That's another debate.
Is kind of like
That's a different debate. But like, if you counteract a car, I don't know.
The example you gave us is if you take out the engine.
Yeah, but that's the part counteracting the whole, right? That's fine. That we all agree on. Can you even think of an example where you counteract the whole without acting?
all the parts.
Would be completely destroy a car like with an atomic bomb.
but why is the car is destroyed because the parts?
Because the parts are destroyed. There is no other way to destroy the car, right?
You can't leave all the parts whole, and then the whole is kind of.
Yeah, I've never even thought of this. That makes so much more sense like this.
How about like a gunshot?
That's perfect. Huh?
A gunshot, it counteracts the whole. Then
No, it doesn't count. Your gunshot will first hit you here, your head will hurt, then it will go zuk, 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 then your brain, something will happen, ask the doctor what exactly goes on, and then you will die. So it's the parts that counteract the whole. That's precisely how it worked.
So this Schmidt's example
Is
where-
the TP.
where you counteract the movement of the finger
By
eliminating
counteracting?
the person.
When you kill the person, sorry Shmul, when you kill the person, consciousness goes away.
Yeah.
The consciousness going away is why the movement goes away. So the volition is the cause. You've counteracted the cause of this,
Yeah, so you counteracted the consciousness, which is a part of the person.
which is a part of the
Which
person,
is why the movement.
which is then would have been the cause for the subsequent movement. So you've counteracted a cause and the result has been counteracted. Oh, very easy.
but
One sec. Let me just. Okay, is that okay? The other thing that you notice in Pension's definition, which is please use this more in debate. It's fun. Are you really okay? You have a fever.
I have a headache.
Look at the definition of causally related. It's different.
Yes.
Just focus on that 1 second.
It is different from that by means of being a different essence, and by the power of counteracting that, it is counteracted.
It doesn't say it abides as a type of its effect, right?
Yes, it doesn't.
So now Pension is saying something very weird. He's saying if they are two things are related and they are substantially one, they have to be related as one essence.
Yes.
If they are substantially different, they have to be causally related. There's no discussion in the definition of it having to come or be an effect of its cause and all of that. That's not there, right? Okay? Correct?
And counteracted always means directly.
But don't just say counteracted, by the power of counteracting.
By the power of
Counteracting is, why we're saying counteracting instead of by the power of existing is because counteracting means when something makes that thing no longer exist, the existence of that had the power to make this exist, and therefore when its existence is counteracted, or it is, how else do you say it? It is like acted upon, it is,
affected.
when its existence is obstacled, or its existence is, are there other synonyms? Huh?
It's
Impacted, yeah. When its existence is impacted, that existence has the power, the force, the ability. It is like the, what else can you say? I can't even think of synonyms. I think that's as much as I've got.
So this means substantial, necessarily in functional things?
No, permanent things also. Yeah, yeah.
So how is that impacting? What is that meaning?
We'll just do that. Can we just do that in a second?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Then because now then, but the fun thing is with generalities and instances. I want to give you like a few relations with generalities and instances. Yeah? Okay. So on the one hand, I'd love to answer all of your questions, but I feel like I'm responsible for giving you things to debate, so I feel like I have to give you relations. Do I do that as well? Should we do that, or are you satisfied with what you have to debate? Do you want a few relations?
more about.
No, this with generalities and instances.
Oh, new topic.
Yeah.
But also we thought maybe we should try to debate those quotes you gave us, which we never do.
Oh, you haven't done those?
Uh,
Okay, please do that then.
Tried a little bit,
Yeah.
but very little.
Okay.
She's apprehensive.
About?
Debating quotes.
You don't. They're a good guideline. You should really try and use them. Not because.
I tried before.
Yeah. Okay. It's just because the thing is, but the thing about, like, even I was very reluctant to use quotes. I must confess, because I'm like, no, we have to get there with reasoning, pure reasoning, which is true. But I think in the beginning, if you don't understand why certain authors say a certain thing, or why a certain school of thought says a certain thing, it doesn't give you any foundation to start thinking on. So you kind of go in blind. Whereas if you go in well established in one way of thinking, then it helps you understand the internal reasoning for that school of thought, and then you can compare it with other schools of thought. But you get grounded in something. So when we also were studying, they say when you do debate, always take the position of one school and hold that position as if it were your position. So then you follow an internal consistency. And so the quotations are just markers to show you how they have thought about it. So you familiarize with one idea, then you can consider other ones. But if you go in without accepting any, and you haven't been able to come up with your tenet system, with your own system, like a system has to provide you the base, what you do after that, and the result that you get. Like when you say, what we translate as tenet in English, actually is druptha in Tibetan, and it's siddhant. It has a much bigger thing than tenet. What it means is drupe tha. Drupa is practice, tha is end, siddhant also siddhas is the things that you do, the practices that you do, ant is end. So how far can you get by doing that practice? So with that view of the world and the practices that you engage in based on that view, where can you get to? That's why whenever you read a Druptha text, it has base, path, result. So for you to understand a school, the consistency in the reasoning is something that they have used to justify their philosophical ground, the practices that they do, and the results that they claim that you can get to. That's why you use quotations of one school, because then you understand why they're saying what they're saying. If you don't do that, then your ground could be a little bit from here, a little bit. Then it's like New Age, like I'll take a bit from the Buddhists, and I'll take a bit from the shamans, and I'll take a bit from this and a bit from that, which is fine. But when you're reasoning, this is the reasoning that they have done, and they've kind of established them in this way. If you understand their reasoning, then you can see whether others are correct or not gradually. That's why you use quotes. So I've started to appreciate the quotes now, much later in life. In the beginning, I was like, no, I don't want to use it. So when you're debating, you can't quote Asanga when you're debating Pramana. They'll say no pervasion. But if you quote Dharmakirti when you're debating Pramana, Dharmakirti is the one who laid out the foundations for that. So it makes sense. Is that okay? Please do use quotes. Mark, is that okay?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have time?
Probably not, but yeah, tell me.
Is there much? To me, it always seems like we're reading the other schools from a prasangika slant a little bit.
You are, yeah, I know.
So there's just as much of an understanding of how the lower schools, quote, would view the progressively higher schools.
Say that again.
So it means like, how would Vaibhashikas conceive of what Prasangika presents or what Sautrantika presents? Rather than a top-down perspective is usually what seems to me is there more than anything bottom-up.
The top-down perspective is what's there more amongst all of you.
Okay.
I can assure you that's true. And how many times have I said, please don't do that?
But you see, that's the way we have been taught.
I know, but
Yeah.
please stop recording. Can you stop this? Please just stop this recording.